Live from the Ankobian capital, Lumumba, the news source of the African continent. Habari Network International.
Habari gani? I'm Ochanda Gabano Koyo, and this is Habari Network International. We are a news program broadcasting from the nation of Ethiopia, a first world country in Africa. We present the news that's currently affecting the African world in and out of the continent. This program is presented in English for our English-speaking Africans. We look to translate our news in various African languages in the future, but for now, we hope you enjoy our show. Habari gani? I'm Ochanda Gabano Koyo, and welcome to another episode of HNI Weekly. On this week's top stories for the week of November 1st, 2021. Ring the alarm, ring the alarm. This country says, ring the alarm. Ethiopia has declared a state of emergency. On Tuesday, President Abiy Ahmed called for the emergency after the former ruling party of the country, TPLF, known as the Tigray People's Liberation Front, retook towns in the Tigray region in northern Ethiopia. After the reclamation of the north by the group, rumors started that the TPLF soldiers would be making its way to the capital, Addis Ababa. November marks a year since the battle for control over the Tigray region began. Since then, hundreds of thousands have been displaced and or killed. The Ankobi Embassy released a statement on its website Tuesday, urging Ankobi nationals to check in immediately and avoid all public areas at all costs. Ankobi ambassador to Ethiopia, Kat Winnie Biogo, stated that flights leaving the country may not be as convenient for the time being. President Abiy is a Nobel Peace Prize recipient for his efforts to reconcile the issues between Ethiopia and Eritrea. TPLF has had its members in government since 1991 up until its ousting in 2018. As developments occur, HNI Weekly will be with you. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't. South Africa went to the polls this week. The municipal elections began on Monday. Results so far have been very low. Speculation on why the voter turnout has been low is believed to be distrust in the current government over rampant corruption and high unemployment rates, reaching 34.4%. Frustrations with the ANC government was brought to an explosion after Jacob Zuma was arrested for failure to testify a corruption case. As South African poll results come in, HNI Weekly will be here. Whoop, whoop, that's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop, that's the sound of the beast. Haitian police have arrested another suspect to the list of suspects arrested in connection with the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse. The suspect arrested this week is Haitian Joseph Vincent, who was identified as an informant for a United States drug agency. So far, 20 persons have been arrested in Haiti, including 18 Colombian nationals. Prior to the assassination, the island nation was dealing with a struggling economy and two major earthquakes. The Deputy Chief of Foreign Affairs for Ankobia, Acheng Okoko, stated that the country of Ankobia has begun allowing Haitian resettlement programs in the country. She also stated that the process would have been made easier if the African Union would have allowed Haiti to join in the first place. This president said, "Good game. Let's run it back." The president of Gambia declared his presidency for the upcoming elections. Adama Barrow, who became president in 2016 after defeating then-president Yahya Jammeh, submitted his candidacy in front of thousands of his supporters in the country's capital of Banjul. The country's presidential elections are slated for December 4th, 2021. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? An international arrest warrant was issued on Thursday for former president of Tunisia, Monsef Marzouki. The arrest warrant was issued by the Tunisian government. Current President Kais Saied had withdrawn the diplomatic passport after the country's former president when he believed that the attempted coup in July of this year was planned by then-president. While France has not commented on the arrest warrant, Marzouki has appeared on French television and social media asking for the French government to remove President Saied. When we come back, we will take a look at this week's African in Focus segment and how a descendant of an African settlement is keeping his roots alive. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. In this week's African in Focus, we travel to the U.S. to meet and learn from an individual who knows his roots and how to keep a legacy alive. Let's take a look. Habarigani. Here at HNI Weekly, we not only cover stories going on in the African continent and in the Caribbean, but also the Africans in the United States. Here today, we got a treat. On our African in Focus segment, we take and look across and explore an African community, a settlement in the Midwest region of the United States. Come on, let's take a look. Habarigani.
Hello?
Speaking with Ortiz Johnson, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
All right. What can you tell me about the Dinwiddie Foundation exhibit here at UNO and the Dinwiddie settlement, the first African settlement on Nebraska territory?
Okay, well, first of all, Dinwiddie, Nebraska is the longest lasting and most successful black settlement in all of Nebraska history.
Seriously?
Yeah, the longest lasting and most successful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we came to Nebraska in the year 1880.
1880.
1880. There were 11 families who left North Buxton, Ontario.
Okay.
Now, what's important about North Buxton, Ontario, is that was the last stop on the Underground Railroad.
Ontario's in the country of
Canada.
So in Canada, it was the last place that the Underground Railroad for the formerly enslaved Africans?
Yes.
Okay.
The Underground Railroad, the last stop.
When asked how the newly liberated Africans that were living in Canada heard about the Nebraska Territory land opportunity, this is what he had to say.
So in 1879, 78, these African men started to do exploratory reconnaissance missions to America, trying to find a place to come back to.
All right.
And at that point in time, in the 1880s, Nebraska was unincorporated. There was nobody here. It was the edge of America.
Okay.
So it was just developing.
All right.
So they came to Nebraska and they searched around in different parts of Nebraska, purchased land, trying to find a place where they could go.
Oh.
A lot of those places did not work out. We have documents where they were in the southeast of Nebraska, the southeast corner of Nebraska, down around Nebraska City. Nebraska City was a hotbed for the Underground Railroad.
Oh, okay.
The slaves were coming out of Missouri. They're connected right there. Missouri, Iowa, and Nebraska are all connected there. So they would be rescued out of Missouri, catch the train in Nebraska City, go across Iowa, heading back to Michigan and Ohio to be transported across the Lake Erie to Ontario. So it was a big operation, huge operation.
All right. We got a picture here of a family. Tell us a little bit more about this photo.
This is one of the most famous photos that we have. The picture was actually taken by Solomon Butcher.
Solomon Butcher.
Yeah, Solomon Butcher was a great photographer. He was a Great Plains photographer. He traveled around Nebraska taking pictures of all of the homesteaders, black, white, whomever.
Okay.
And as it goes, one Sunday, this picture was taken after a church service.
Really?
And this picture is taken in front of my great-grandfather. This is his sod house.
His sod house.
This is his sod house. These houses were made out of cow poop.
Ah!
So, again, we've had this conversation before. In Kenya, what did they make their bricks out of?
Yeah, the little people of Kenya would make their homes out of cow dung.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened here.
Oh, wow.
And there were no trees. There's no trees out there in western Nebraska.
Understood.
But this picture was taken by Solomon Butcher. And it was right after a church service And in this picture, I have aunts, uncles, but the most important person in this picture is this young lady here, this little girl right here with the pigtails.
Yeah.
That is my grandmother.
Oh, wow. Seriously.
She is my grandmother. Yes.
Look at her. So cute.
So cute, so cute. And the other interesting thing about this picture is there is a gentleman here named Charles Meehan who is Irish.
Okay.
Now, he came in 1886, 6 years after they came.
Okay.
But that's when they started out in Dawson County. They were in Dawson County then. But in this picture, there are members of 11 families who were there in DeWitty. And like I said, I have aunts, I have uncles, my grandma's there, Reverend Burkhart, who was the minister, and Mr. Albert Riley, who was one of the founders as well as my great-grandpa. And of course, he's standing right there, front and center, leading everything. This picture was taken in 1911.
This photo, 1911.
1911, yeah. But they started to arrive in DeWitty into Cherry County at the turn of the century.
At the turn of the 19th century?
The turn of the 19th century. What happened was, there was something that was called the Kincaid Act.
The Kincaid.
The Kincaid Act. And that act allowed veterans, freedmen, people without police records to come and settle in Nebraska for $5. They could get 640 acres.
So, just to bring this back, a large incentive for the formerly enslaved Africans that were now in Canada to resettle in the Nebraska Territory was a $5 fee. And you could have how many acres of land?
640 acres. Because if you remember,
That's incredible.
after the Civil War, they talked about all the men being able to get 40 acres and a mule, 160 acres.
So this land that we've heard myths and legends about among the African American community, there was actual land that was purchased by Africans.
Yes, lots of it.
And the DeWitty community of Nebraska is the proof in the pudding?
Yep, proof of the pudding, the longest lasting and the most successful in Nebraska. Yes, they were. And you have to, one of the things I have to really share with you about is that different ethnic groups, Irish, people from Germany, people from Sweden, all of these people settled in different places as well as these black folks.
In DeWitty.
In Nebraska.
In Nebraska itself, not in DeWitty.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were also fighting for their survival. And to this day, there are a couple of places like O'Neill, Nebraska, which is the home of the Irish. Wilbur, Nebraska, that's the home of the Czechoslovakian community.
Okay.
There's all of these different places and these ethnic groups settled. So what was going on was they had problems with Protestants because, again, if you remember history, there was a problem with the Protestants and the Catholics. So there was this pull and tug of survival in different communities. And even though ours was, it wasn't any different than what happened with those other communities.
Gotcha.
We just lasted until 1936.
Speaking of legacy, not only are you a direct descendant of formerly enslaved Africans and the largest and most successful black settlement of Nebraska, but you also have, African ties exactly. What is your specific tie to Africa today?
Well, right now, I'd like to tell you that I work with a company called Black Market Records.
This is a music label?
It's a music label in 17 African countries.
Wow.
17.
And you've been to at least one of those African countries?
I've been to 3 of them. I've been to Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda.
Seriously?
Yes. And I work with one of the artists is really big. I'd like you guys all to Google Daddy Andre.
Daddy Andre.
Yes.
All right.
And one of the things that we've been working on is called Concert Connection.
Mm-hmm.
We want to transform the thinking about concerts. Suppose people could vote on who they wanted to see and stage and produce and promote those concerts themselves.
Wow, that's innovative.
That is innovative. So when everybody votes to see who they want to see, however it goes out, then we tour Nebraska, California. Look at it like this. Since you're headed to Sudanese, South
Sudanese and Kenyan.
how would you like to see South Sudanese and Kenyan artists performing in America?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
For those that want to get more information on the Dinwiddie settlement,
Mm-hmm.
the Dinwiddie Foundation, and Black Market Records, how can they reach on out?
Okay. Black Market Records is all over YouTube. It's all over Instagram. It's the social media. Just Google Black Market Records, and the artists will come up.
It was awesome hearing about the first African settlement of the Nebraska Territory and how the origins and to where they had prospered and where they are at now. What an awesome experience talking with Artis Johnson, a descendant of the Dinwiddie settlement of the first African settlement in the Nebraska Territory. It was great hearing about how the first Africans in this area, how they organized, worked, and played. For more on this story and everything else related to the Dinwiddie Foundation, hit the link below. For HNI Weekly, I'm Ochanda Gabano Koyo. Back to you at the studio. For the full-length interview, reach out to our email at abadi.network.international@gmail.com. Just let us know who you are, where you're watching from, and we'll send you the entire interview and add you to our exclusive fan club. When we come back, we'll be reading from this week's African proverb. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss this. Since ancient times, Africans have been known to speak proverbially. And here at HNI Weekly, we don't typically break from tradition. Let's go ahead and pick from the jar of African proverbs. Yeah! In this week's African proverb reads, from the country of Zimbabwe, it reads, every woman is beautiful until she speaks. Once again, every woman is beautiful until she speaks. Ooh. My interpretation of that, this doesn't even have to relate to just women. This is just people in general. You don't know a certain individual until you get to know them. You don't know them until you know them. They often state that roommates or friends of each other should wait and really think about being roommates, because it isn't up until the time that you live with your friend that you really get to know your friend. You might have had times where you went to parties together, times that you've gotten punishments together by both of your parents. So many different events that you guys have been through together, but it isn't until that you guys live together that you find out that he or she snores in a manner that disturbs you. He or she is not as cleanly as what you had envisioned, or he or she maybe takes your chapati or ugali or lugumar sida when you were not around and they did not seek permission from you. And you, sir, what is your interpretation of this week's African proverb?
Before the show, my old lady called me, said she wanted to talk. I told her, get back to work.
If you have your own interpretation of this week's African proverb, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this and other HNI Weekly videos. For more HNI content, connect with us on all our social media platforms below. For HNI Weekly, I'm Ochanda Dobano Koyo, signing off.